Why is feminism morally good?
Why is it morally good? So we can appeal to, for example, I think that moral objectivism can be defended on the basis the same way that what is it called? Epistemic objectivism can be defended. Basically this idea that I know that the world around me exists. How do I know that the world around me exists? Do I really know that the world around me exists?
No, I wouldn't grant that, but go on.
Okay, well, so we don't really. We're trusting our senses to tell us that the world around us exists. I'm intuitively trusting that you're sitting in front of me with a microphone, I have a microphone, I have my iPad, a glass of water here, all of that. I could be wrong. I could indeed be wrong. I could be a brain in a vat, but I'm trusting my intuitive sense that my senses are telling me correct information.
I'm going to grant you an escape from solipsism. I'm going to grant you your sense data. How do you get a moral statement from sense data?
Because moral statements largely are sense-based. I can't give you you can't really give me moral objectivism either.
Wait. My view's not on the chopping block.
Well,
you're the affirmative. You're the affirmative. We can get into it, but the affirmative is feminism is good for society. That's what you came today, right?
It leads to people having better lives.
Let's say my view, Christianity, what if it was just terrible for society? It still wouldn't change the position you're in. You would have to argue why feminism is good for society.
Sure.
So if you're going to sense data and you're saying, well, I use sense data to navigate the world, and I evaluate the sense data.
It also tells me murder. It also tells me unjustified killing is wrong.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, why not?
Look.
Why doesn't it?
Does your eye tell you that this is black?
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
Yeah.
So black has a frequency, a reflective aspect of light?
Sure, I could be wrong.
Yeah, right. But the frequency exists, right?
The same frequency of having an intuition on a moral level.
No.
What's the relevant
Hold on
difference?
a second. The reason I asked about the microphone is that black, red, the spectrum of colors, the frequency of light that all comes from white, it reflects differently. And so that maintains, even if you and I see things slightly different, the thing that...
What if I say it's not black?
That maintains... Well, I would say it's a dark gray.
Okay, then what if I say that it's white?
You could understand, well, if you said it was white, then we would appeal to some other people's views.
So we can appeal to other people's views. So if if one person says that murder is okay, and everyone else disagrees and says that it's wrong, we can appeal to them and say you're wrong.
Wait a second.
In the same way that I would say that that's white.
Are you arguing... So wait, how is that not subjectivism from your position?
I think that it is as objective as we can get.
Oh, so you're saying it's not objective?
Well, because I don't think we can have 100% certainty.
This is what I'm asking you.
I don't think we can have 100% certainty on anything.
Where in the instance of a person deleting another person, where in the sense data itself,
sure,
the person is a size, they have hair, they have a shirt on or not, these are all features of reality that you're pointing to the external world. Where in that are you perceiving morality?
Where am I perceiving morality? The sense that I get, the intuitive sense that I get out of it.
But it's not the sense data, though.
It can be, absolutely. I would see it. Wait a second. No, hold on. I would see
Is this moral?
What?
Is this moral?
Having water?
This cup. Can you determine this cup, is it moral or not?
If you were to throw it at me, I could.
No, it wouldn't be the cup that was immoral.
Sure, it wouldn't. But what would matter about that?
So what I'm pointing to is you said, because now we're in metaethics, because if you're saying feminism is good for society, if you're saying it's good for society, you're making a metaethical statement about the good. I'm asking from your view what grounds the good, and you said sense data. But the thing is, you can't point to anything in the world that occurs as an event and look at the event itself and retrieve empirically the good.
Why not?
Well, you're claiming it. How? Where is it?
I see something happen and I have an intuitive sense about it.
Okay, someone sees something else and they have an intuitive sense that it was justified, and you disagree.
Okay, absolutely. And
who wins?
No, wait a second. But that's the same problem empirically.
No,
if I say that's white.
Not.
If I say that's white and you say
that's
it's not. How? How are they different?
That's not the same.
But how are they different?
Because this is actual sense data.
No.
This is actual sense data.
Sure.
The opinion about what this is not whether or not it's good or not. This is an is-ought. This is Hume's guillotine. This is like describing things into the good, right? This is a philosophical problem that you can't bridge.
No, is-ought. I get the is-ought for it.
Right,
I know
but
that.
why would, if you know that, why would you?
I'm aware of that because at some point you have to assert a moral claim that you can't further back up. They have to bottom out somewhere.
So they have to bottom out somewhere. Then Oliver, why would you even use sense data? Why don't you just say, regardless of seeing anything, I have a feeling. What if someone described something, you didn't see anything, and you got a feeling?
Wait a second, but that's still sense data. You hear it from them, you hear their story, you hear that, it evokes a response in you. So yeah, and then that's a response.
Okay, so...
The same way I see that.
Okay, then how do you argue with, let's say, a nation predominantly held like a Christian view that feminism was immoral and they outnumbered you? Would you just submit?
No, you can't. Well, you can't. You just make fine. Then yeah, whoever has the most power automatically wins.
You mean force?
But that's a descriptive claim. Of course, whoever has the most power is in holding all else equal, mind you. We have to hold everything else equal in that scenario, because just having brute force doesn't necessarily mean you are going to win.
Well,
not necessarily.
For the most
if
part,
someone's better organized, if they have better access to resources,
they would still need some aspect of force to push against you.
It's not ultimate. It's not like, we don't add up who has the most strength and least strength and then determine that's what's going to happen.
If you agree that if you have a feminist view and I have an anti-feminist view, the ultimate descriptor, I'm not saying might is right, I'm saying might is. It just is.
And I don't disagree with you.
So if might just is, and we both agree that might is in fact a gendered statement, I'm arguing that feminism itself relies on a view, it relies on a part of reality that's antithetical to the ideal of feminism. That feminism itself, in practice, rights, privileges, all of these things you're adding to women, right, in their life, that they are granted by stronger people that are merely allowing them to have them.
Fine, then that's the same thing.
That's a patriarchy.
No, wait a second. You can make the same argument within a gender. You are separating it into men and women. Why can't I divide men up and say that, yeah, we do stronger men? Okay, well then I don't see...
That's in favor of a patriarchy, though. If men win against other men, it's still a patriarchy.
But we shouldn't base it on the enforcement
Oliver,
mechanism.
I just want you to concede. If men take over other men, it's still a patriarchy.
That's not what defines patriarchy, because it's not the enforcement. It's not what men could do that defines whether it's a patriarchy. The same way, we are not a militaristic state, authoritarian state, just because the military could, if they want, overthrow democracy.
Well, no, they're allowing it not to be.
Sure, so then are we...
It's an allowance.
Wait a second. No, fine. Then would it be correct to describe our country right now as a militaristic authoritarian regime?
Potentially. I would say that rights themselves are fairly authoritarian, just to assuming them. Well, like for instance, people say often, maybe you've argued with Thea Oliver, where you're like, I'm totally fine with what you believe, just don't force your beliefs on me, right? Have you said that to someone?
No, I haven't.
Okay, but you heard someone say that, right?
I have. I think it's stupid.
Right. Do you agree that you would? It's actually probably a good thing to force your beliefs on people.
No, I think it would depend on what you mean by force. But I think saying if someone believes something, I don't know why they wouldn't want to, if they believe it to be correct. Right. I don't know why they wouldn't want to share that belief and have others adopt what they view as the true.
Well, not even
belief.
Share. Let's say I agree with you. If you understand, if someone held a belief and they truly believed it, not only would they want to share that belief and have other potentially believe it, but meet others who already believe it, the next step would simply be, why wouldn't they, I don't know, take positions of government and legislative office seats and say, well, I love my view so much and I've gained so many people around me who love my view. Why wouldn't I just use the enforcement arm? Isn't the ultimate goal here, like even in this debate,
I don't like pizza, or if I love pizza, I want to bring the government into...
Yeah, that's superficial.
No, it's not, because it's the same similar type of view.
You could extrapolate it that far if you want.
And that would be ridiculous. Would you say it's ridiculous for someone who's like, I like pizza this much, I like cheese pizza, I would like everyone to like cheese pizza. If people don't like cheese pizza, because I think it's correct and I think it's the best type of pizza, I'm going to enforce everyone to eat cheese pizza.
No, regardless if I want that, I'm saying that that's actually possible.
Yeah, but we would look upon that person as
that's fine if you... No, but
it would be weird.
Yeah, but I understand. We both agree that would be weird. I'm not debating whether or not we agree on things that are weird. What we're debating tonight is like the foundation of feminism rests on something that's counter-descriptive to feminism.
No.
Yes.
How?
If feminism... Look, I'll do it again. Feminism is the movement away from men in power. Is that better than patriarchy?
It's the movement away from...
men in power. specifically.
Men inherently having power.
Dominant,
because they are
the
men.
dominant collective.
Because they're men. Women
Great.
being excluded from that.
Women's rights is a feminist movement.
Sure.
Okay. So if women's rights is a feminist movement away from the movement of men in power, why does women's rights require the thing that they're opposing?
Wait, because just because someone has power doesn't mean they're exercising it against you. Like I don't see, like you're saying, like there's always going to be a man in charge, therefore
there's going to be a collection of, in a society that's ordered, that has any kind of law or say rights, which are privileges or entitlements without any duties. In this case, feminism is a movement away from men in power. Women's rights is a feminist movement, supposedly against this power structure. And yet
it's not against men, though.
I know, but it's not against
men.
No, you got to follow this line, though. I'm not saying they hate men or whatever. I'm saying that the actual movement to affirm and defend and protect rights, they're asking daddy. They're asking for an allowance.
No, they're asking society in general.
No, society's opinion doesn't matter when the force comes in.
Sure, the force does come in, but
it's the only thing we're talking about.
I agree, but here's the thing that I'm running into the problem is you were assuming that men will act this way, that men will do this, that men will act as a collective to enforce their will necessarily. I'm saying that I think socialization. Look, I don't think we automatically I don't think we should, and I hope you're not raising your son to say, if someone has a toy and you really want that toy, go over there and take it from them.
Depends what the toy is. That could be good for them, actually. You know what I mean? Like, it could be good for you and me. Look, let's just hypothetically.
Hold on, because you're making generalized statements all the time.
Oliver, is it possible that there's an instance of necessary growth of boys battling it out?
Sure, of course, but we're talking in generalities, because you're saying that I can't appeal to the fact that there are men that are weaker than women to invalidate the claim that, like, this force doctrine
wasn't your question, well, just because a collective of men could take over, it doesn't mean that men will take over.
Yeah, they won't.
You ever debated anarchists?
I have not. I mean, I've heard their
Okay,
position,
I want to put this on you. Pretend you and I are debating against a third person who's an anarchist for a second. We're on the same team for a second. And I ask them, why do you think anarchy is possible? And they say, well, because most people are passive and don't want to use their force and their will to control people.
Yeah.
And then they ask me, why do you think anarchy doesn't work? I answer the same exact thing. Because most people don't use force, but the small group that does want to use their force, they will.
Why can't there be another group that uses their force contrary to that in support
Are they made up of men?
Sure.
Okay.
Some of them can be, and some of them
Patriarchy
can be
for the win.
No, but that's not how we should define what a society is, just by who makes up the majority
Define a
of
society.
the enforcement. Whatever ordered thing you talk
Is that fine with you? You can come up with one that you like better.
I don't find it can be ordered. I agree that there has to be some sort of order to society. I'm not disagreeing with you.
Now, would you agree that order supposes force?
I guess the threat of force, sure.
But the threat has to be able to be actualized, right? Ultimately. Like, if you call their bluff over and over.
Sure, yeah, fine. It has to be actualized.
This is what I'm saying, and I don't know how many more times I can drive this home, is that your vision of feminism being rights, equal opportunities, you're basically saying society is in a place where females should be more liberated to be in all sorts of different areas. Okay, that's what you're really arguing. You're arguing that society is essentially, which I kind of agree, is an amusement park that's already been built and maintained largely by men, right? You're just adding a police element. And what you're saying is feminism is Disney World. They should be able to ride on every ride. And then I go,
no, everyone should have access to the rides.
I know, but who enforces that everyone has access to the rides? Men.
Hold on. It's society in general, and you are right that it is primarily going to be men who are enforcing that.
Would you concede that your vision of feminism actualized requires something antithetical to feminism?
No, it is not antithetical, because just saying that men should do the right thing and men should be in favor of these things is not against feminism. I don't see how that's against
No, I didn't say
feminism.
should. I said, well, that's your other problem is, do they have an obligation? But the bigger problem is it actually a necessity that men collectively defend women's rights?
I think it is a necessity that society defends the rights of those who are less vulnerable.
You keep saying
against those who try to-
society.
Fine,
Okay, it can't be random
those
people
who
in
are
society.
Stronger. You're right.
Men.
Those, sure.
Okay,
I
will you
what do
concede for the audience then that your vision of feminism requires by necessity the actualization and the threat of stronger people who are predominantly men?
Sure.
Okay,